What's happening, everybody? We welcome you back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider presented by Palomar Insurance. Please support the people that support us. Ramon Scott is joining us. He's EastCountySportsNetwork.com. He is one of the people who have survived the transition from print legacy media into the new world. And look at that. He even now has a freaking like a digital electronic scoreboard going on behind him. Like we mentioned, East County Sports is his vibe. It's what he knows. We're going to talk about some of the week 5 football games. Ramon, thank you so much for joining us. Glad to see you. I want to start with Steel Canyon. This team, to me, I was not on my radar of 5-0. I'm sure good, but not a 5-0, and they're doing it in style. What did you see this week?
I think the thing with Steel Canyon right now, Christian, is this is kind of what we always had, right, with Steel Canyon a little bit. This is what we remember in those years where they were so strong, playing for section titles and all that. And then maybe it has dipped down a little bit in the previous years. They've always kept that tough schedule. So they went out there and did a great job last night against Valhalla. Now, it wasn't a contest. Kudos to Valhalla for keeping up this rivalry. They could have easily opted for another game, but to keep the Hamashaw helmet going, they resumed the rivalry a couple years ago, and Valhalla is going to be on the short end of it. So it was a pretty professional performance last night with Steel Canyon pretty much beating them by the amount of points expected. But when you've got some exciting, with Gavin Kaha quarterback and Nico Yara, one of the most explosive special teams players in the county, he's also found a way to get a safety this year and receiving touchdowns as well. So it's not all about the running right now, too, with Steel Canyon. They've still kept up that tough non-league schedule. So I think that's what's kind of made them, ready for the upcoming league season in the Hills League, because we obviously know Granite Hills is still number 1 and Mount Miguel's been so hot. They've kind of passed up my Highlanders, Christian, no doubt about it. So you're looking for Steel to be sneaking up on Helix here this season once we get into league play. Coach Longerbone doing a great job. They opened a new press box up there too, so you don't have to climb all the way up there. At least it's bigger, I guess I'll say. So look, there's still a great vibe with the Cougars, and I think that they're going to be a team that this is a much better team than what we've seen the last couple of years.
Let's talk about Mount Miguel. They win another real close one. Second time this season. They've had to prove themselves that they have it, but then have also then commensurately pulled it out. What did you see in their defeating Poway?
Yeah, the same thing we're seeing right now is Mount Miguel, not only offense, but defensively too. Now, this one got a little wild, like some of these games do, Christian, with Mount Miguel. So we'll give Poway a lot of credit too. I mean, this was a matchup of top 10 teams, but Jeremiah Loper's done a great job taking over at quarterback this year. He's still got AJ Logan. He's been the man here for a couple of weeks now, a couple more touchdown passes last night, and they got off to a pretty good lead, but Poway kept coming back because they got Jorgensen, and this guy can run down anything. He had another big game, but Matadors in the third quarter, Loper hit Tamarian Williams with a 55-yard connection, and then Brandon Arrington, he put on the Jets in an electrifying 83-yard touchdown. Matadors responded in the fourth with Porfilio hauling in a 12-yard pass, and they took a 10-point lead, 35-25. So Poway gave them the battle that you're expecting in a matchup of top 10 teams, but really here, Mount Miguel's defense kind of came up. I know 32 points, it doesn't sound great there, Christian, but when you're Mount Miguel and some of the games, they're playing the tough schedule, just like some of these other teams. They've gone out of section, doing a good job. Christian, how about the story of Frank Fanua, the Cal commit? He'll be out there. We're taping this on a Saturday. He'll be out there game tonight. He's playing with a heavy heart. Here's a young man, or I should say a man, that helped lift his father's casket within the last 2 weeks. And his father had passed away a few weeks ago suddenly. So a great kid. They were a little short on that GoFundMe. It's kind of easily findable. They're shooting for a $13,000 goal. They get 10,000. I imagine when the Bears fans come in tonight, or when, like I said, we're taping this on Saturday, when they go in there, they'll hear more of Frank's story too. So a real great, nice, for Frank to be able to get all the Matador family to kind of rally around him over the last couple of weeks. He's a great lineman. He's one of the best linemen in the county, obviously, going to Cal. I have a feeling he's going to make a pretty big impact in Berkeley.
And also a reminder that this is bigger than just the X's and O's, and that we are a full football community and family together. So always to be able to support those that you need it when you're able to. Moving on to Grossmont, the Foothillers. I want to talk about them because they have a fantastic defensive front that to me says, hey, like they're going to be at the very least in every game this season, but they get another win. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and that's a surprise, right? Because we usually think of Grossmont, and since Anthony Lawrence has taken over and he's put his touch on it, yeah, they were always a kind of a high-flying team. But with Lawrence, the record-setting Grossmont High quarterback, record-setting USD quarterback, a great quarterback. We played internationally in Japan, so he knows offense, and it was clicking there too. But the defensive line played ferocious last night in their win. Uh, Gage Whitechelt had an interception as well. So I think that's the key for Grossmont. Now, Christian, they have moved down to the Valley League this year. So I'm installing them as the favorites in the Valley League, especially in another game last night where El Cap, the previous champion from the Valley League, who graduated to the Hills League for a couple of years starting this year, beat Monta Vista, maybe the closest contender in the Valley League by a large margin. So I think the fact that Grossmont coming down to the Valley League, there's some challenges in that league, including Santana, West Hills, and Monta Vista, but they'll be favored with Tyler Holmes at quarterback. He's a dual threat quarterback, even though we think of Grossmont passing a lot. They do have AJ Hooker had a couple of rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown, and Randy Ballard as well as a good-looking receiver. But I think once they get into the Valley League, the difference, Christian, is going to be the defense and how they'll be probably a notch better. Right now, the Grossmont Conference having a flip-flop every 2 years, the best team in the Valley and the worst team in the Hill, or the least best team in the Hills a little bit to balance it out.
And there will be some knock always on re-leaguing and de-leaguing and upping and downing, but this is kind of the point of it. Is you take a team and you move them to somewhere that they can get themselves competitive again and pick up some steam and move then back into the higher up league. So it's all working out if Grossmont ends up running through league this year. Finally, I want to talk with you about El Cajon Valley, the Braves. This felt like a big one. And on some of the new playoff formatting, you don't know, you can't quite do the math and be like, oh, this game seals us here into the 5 seed or something like that when you're this far out. But you can also, I think, start to get a feel that like, oh, that 1 or 2 wins along the way could be really huge in getting a team right where they need to be in the D4 or 5 or something like that playoffs. Your thought on El Cajon Valley's win?
Yeah, they almost needed it. They were 1-3 coming in, and I really thought that. Look, we're trying to get the Braves. We're trying to, they, got a new coach out there in James Simon, and trying to get them pumped up a little bit after going 0-10 last year. They won two straight here right now after beating Castle Park last night, 32-23. They have an exciting running back in John Bier Kashindi, who's had a couple of breakout games so far, well over 100 yards. And they made a big play last night when Jakari Wash, who's the quarterback of the team, he nailed Castle Park's quarterback, and Kashindi picked it up and ran it into the end zone for a touchdown. And Wash hit also Amir Miller for a touchdown. We featured the Braves last night on our post game segment after the win because we want to pump those guys up a little bit. Look, their challenge in the Valley League, quite honestly, Christian, is probably going to be the Valhalla Norsemen. Valhalla will be rated above El Cajon Valley. They'll be predicted to finish at the bottom of the league, but building this confidence a little bit. And in the Valley League, maybe it is going to be a little bit loose in there with the teams that I mentioned. I think Grossmont's the winner, but between Grossmont, West Hills, Santana, Monta Vista, Valhalla, and El Cajon Valley, there's going to be some spoiler alerts in there a little bit, and maybe maybe Grossmont, I don't know if they can walk through it. So give the Braves some credit, and maybe they can upset somebody along the way. But their most important part of the schedule, Christian, just happened. The non-league portion, getting that second win is going to be important for their placement. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure in Division 5.
You mentioned having a post game reaction. There's a lot of other content that you've got going on. We really appreciate you joining us, taking a little bit of your time, but let everybody know where they can find all of your stuff and go support you.
At eastcountysports.com. We've done it. I put that website up in 2000 in February of 2000. I didn't even know what I was doing. We were using Quark Express for a website. So still publishing articles, game stories, whatever I have time for. We do it, especially during football season. Try to get a game story out on every game or at least every win. And we do the video content now as well, just like this, over on East County Sports Network on YouTube. I also try to send it out on Facebook and X as well. But we do a little pregame on Wednesday nights where we do the old school predict the winners type of segment. And then we wrap it up live on Friday nights right now. And we try to, Christian, get the winning team. And sometimes we get them on the bus. That's our little segment. It's really cool. Even if we couldn't hear, can't even hear them, it doesn't matter. They're celebrating and having a good time. The answers don't mean sometimes as much as just seeing the joy of the team after a win on the road, maybe a win that they weren't supposed to get or an upset. So sometimes we have to wait for them to get off the bus because it's too loud. But pretty cool segment to chat with the team live right after the post game style. So
How can you
join
not
me
want
over
that?
there.
If you are a football person, there's no reason you shouldn't be giving them a follow on everything. Ramon, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you a couple more times the rest of this football season and in on to basketball, then baseball. Sounds good?
Yep, it sounds pretty good. If I don't hear from you in a few weeks, you got to think the Eagles in the Hills League, Christian, followed by the Matadors and then the Cougars. But that's going to be a great battle, Cougars and Matadors for sure.
Deal. We'll have you back for that then. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next time.